tube, attractive graphics and printing of the Deepak ji has already mentioned. But this is considered to be one of the excellent format of the packaging, what this modern consumer have been accepted at that. Over a period of time, we find a lot of innovation and creativity has come, and mostly Mr. Banerjee is here. He himself has filed almost 150 patents from the SL Propack, and that shows that how much creativity has come in this particular field about the tube packaging. Yes, Deepak, you was mentioning about the patent what I was involved as inventor for this product, and which was worked from the Indian Institute of Packaging with the government of West Bengal. This was a product for ethnic foods, which is nothing but called date palm tree, which is sap is coming, collecting overnight, and then you just increase it, boil it, and make a jaggery. And this jaggery is called a liquid jaggery, and in Bengal, it is called date palm tree jaggery or Nalen Gur, and which is very famous in the Bengal cuisine because you find in Bengali, this is a very special fragrance and which goes for sweet making and so on. The problem was this product is a so, it's not only an hygroscopy, it gets fermented within a moment of 5 hours time. So we are really looking for what could be done. The government of West Bengal gave this task to Indian Institute of Packaging, and we tried with the various options, but the options has to be keeping in mind about the consumer, what is going. So we tried with an extruded, co-extruded based of plastic containers, squeezable, of course. The second one we tried with a stand-up pouch with a spout. And the third option was taken about the lamy tube. The lamy tube, the structure, which is an EVOH and which was an aluminum foil and poly, of course, that was already got patented by the SL Propack. But we took the structure and we tried to do a hot filling. So the jaggery, we did not add any of the preservative. No, it was nothing, no processing was done. It was just doing the warm filling and at a temperature of around 60 degree centigrade. And we just seal it and we made an induction sealing on the top. And we started the shelf life study or the stability study. And we got a fantastic result as compared to your co-extruded plastic bottle. And also your stand-up pouch, we find the lamy tube, which has given a shelf life primarily because of the unique structure. It has given a 180 days shelf life from the 5 months. So that was one of the remarkable innovation in the lamy tube, and it's the first time in the country it has come to the food entry. And that's the reason the government of West Bengal has requested IIP that it should be a joint patent. I think this is the first patent we got from Indian Institute of Packaging. And of course, the tube are all available in West Bengal. If you now, of course, in lockdown, if you happen to see in Calcutta airport on the departure lounge, there is a Bisho Bangla outlet, and where you find this Nalen Gur, it is coming in lamy tube. And I think Banerjee can show some of the picture of that. And that lamy tube, the value addition, which normally in West Bengal in the open market, the liquid jaggery, which is sold at 150 rupees price, but in the lamy tube, it has come 70 rupees, which is the selling price MRP for 100 ml. So that way you find 1 liter is cost 700 rupees. That's a purely the value addition by 7 times just because of the excellent lamy tube structure or the tube packaging. That shows the how tube packaging really enhance the sales value, how the tube packaging can really make attraction to the modern consumer. And as far as the recycling, Mr. Deepak was mentioning, I believe there are certain already initiatives taken by the industry. Maybe Mr. Banerjee will touch upon that. Yes, the tube, it comes in a different structure, but it can be separated out. And again, it can take a different stream for the recycling. So that also it becomes one of the recycle option, and the tube packaging can be done. So I believe this initiative, what Mr. Praveen Bhatia and his team has taken, is an excellent initiative to promote this particular packaging format, which is today not restricted only to the medicinal or in the cosmetic or beauty products. It is also entering to the food industry. It is going to the many industry. As I give an example about the jaggery, it has been packed. There are certain examples where you find your ginger sauces are coming, all are coming in lamy tube, and which is wide acceptable by the modern consumer. So I believe in the years to come, this particular format of the packaging will be taking a great height, and it will also move along with the other product and other packaging format. And I'm confident that the demand of tube or plastic tube as well as the aluminum or the metal tube will grow along with the other packaging format. and definitely it will take a space of the shelf and just replacing to the other packaging material. And finally, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Mr. Praveen Bhatia and his entire team and the industry member who are listening here. And I believe the time is coming, especially the consumer will get a different options in the market in the tube packaging, what best can be buy and what not to buy. That's depend on not only the graphics, by the functional properties of the tube. One is to choose into the product, looking into the shelf life of the product, and I think it will have a future growth and the future opportunities coming ahead. With this, I once again thank you, Mr. Praveen Bhatia and his team for taking such an excellent initiative, and I wish good luck to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saha. I think it was very interesting that you could take us through the history of the development of the tube. And also it's very interesting to learn the difference between a collapsible and a multi-squeeze tube. And of course, the development of the liquid jaggery, that itself is a story, which should be very inspiring. Yeah. So with these words, I'd like to now invite Mr. Praveen Bhatia to tell us what is all of this about Tube Promotion Council and how will it really bring benefit to whoever is a member and participates. How does the tube industry get to benefit from the Tube Promotion Council? Try to explain how this is, what this is all about.
Thank you, Mr. Deepak. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Deepak. And first of all, I thanks a lot, Mr. Sanjay Bhatia, Mr. Saha, and all my colleague panelists who accepted that invitation with this such a tough time, which everybody is so busy in a different fields because the times are already very, very tough. But they had given some time to my small initiative, which I have taken with especially special thanks to Mr. Deepak ji, who always guiding me to do something on the Tube Promotion Council. You know, as all the figures has been spoken by Mr. Sanjay ji and such experience, Mr. Saha, that what is the tube market, what is the packaging industry, how big is the packaging industry, and the tube and the global tube packaging size is also around US $9.6 billion, and which is expected to grow at around 10 to 12%. And we always say the packaging is a silent marketing tool, and definitely is a tool. So in this concept, because when I came into the tube industry since 1997 and involved into this industry, so and was involved in a lot of tube projects which just came into the market. So over the last 2-3 years, I thought, why don't I create something, all the knowledge which I have with the help of Mr. Saha, Mr. Deepak, Mr. Banerjee, and all the other tube professionals which is there in the market, to put something as a tube promotion so that not only the existing tube manufacturer gets the knowledge, but also who is coming in the new into tube industry, they should also be benefited. That was the main objective that coming the Tube Promotion Council. No doubt, it's very well the Institute of Packaging is working. They're taking all the care of all the packaging players into the market, lot of exercise, lot of seminars, lot of exhibition they're handling. But our tube is a very small and a very nascent, it's a baby for the whole packaging industry. So that is why I thought it's better to have something small setup, because it's at present around 70 to 80 tube manufacturers are there, which I say not only a plastic tube or laminated tube, but also the aluminum tube manufacturers are there. So that is the objective which we thought that let's combine all those people who are into different tubes. And these tubes, sometimes we say, whenever anybody comes for a project, I say it looks easy, but it's a very difficult. A lot of innovation, a lot of commitments are required when you make a tube. So the objective is to connect with the new people and impart the knowledge and expertise of the different tube people. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge is involved. A lot of people are there who can give knowledge, they will give input to the knowledge, and developing a quality standards and innovation with the new design of the tubes. Other day, I was talking to ITMA. ITMA has some tube standards. Whosoever manufacturing tubes in Europe, they have some tube standards. So my idea is to give a tube standards to our tube colleagues who is manufacturing tubes, so that it will easy to them to export the tube into the market. They should, it will help them in their business development also, and provide a platform for a technical discussion in the discussion, so that this is not only a one time, every 2 months, we will try to do that. Let's organize some webinar where we can have a discussion among the tube manufacturers, expert panelists, the polymer experts. They can, there they can reduce the costing of the tubes, how the new laminates are coming into the market, what are the best things they can deliver to the end customer. As you know, the tube, I always say the packaging is a silent marketing tool. If the tube is most good, so naturally the market the production of the good. And giving a consultancy to the tube companies, not consultancy in the sense, how whatever the problems which they are facing, they can tell us, we can join some experts, some specialists in a different field, and help the tube manufacturers. Because ultimately our aim is to help all the tube manufacturers who are there in the market. And manpower is another issue. There's a lot of, because this is a new line. This is not, because as I mentioned, this is only 70 to 80 manufacturers are there. So sometimes the manpower becomes an issue. So we will try to work out this in this field also, talking to some machine manufacturers, giving them a training in India, so that the new manpower can be created for this industry. Next, yeah. We should also represent the government, like as we did initiative, and we are I'm very thankful to PSD has accepted that they will join hands in this webinar, and we need more help with the PSD and other government bodies, so that we can talk about the reduce the GST. I was just talking yesterday, some idea came very well, that in the toothpaste and the pharma segment, this is a segment which helps the public health. Why don't we reduce the GST on an end product or a tube product? That is a discussion point of view, because I know in the shoe industry, when the shoe is 1,000 rupees less, the GST is 5 rupees, because ultimately this is for the poor class. So toothpaste and the medicine is the product which is required for a public health. So with this platform, we can go to the government and help them to reduce GST, or some give benefit to the tube manufacturers. And another tube manufacturer, we can give a benefit if they want to participate in the different fairs. Once the corona is over, naturally the all exhibition will also start. So help them to represent them into the world market. And yesterday there was an Economic Times that there was, which Mr. Banerjee is going to give more light on this. They say that the egg-like mayonnaise, which notices 3 years back, they're doing very well. This is the food which is coming into the pouches. This is only the yesterday somebody written an article in the Economic Times. And another field we wanted to give an idea to the tube manufacturers, because sometimes the trend is there from aluminum tube, the people are moving to lami tube, from lami tube to plastic tube. And sometimes, as I mentioned that earlier also in one of the discussions, that nowadays, the last year, the aluminum tube market is also growing up. The hair color market, the other market is also growing up, because there's always a shift. Sometimes there's always shift. So we can give some, we'll do some research, take the expert advice, guide our tube manufacturers that this is a new area which is coming in their line. They can do expansion, they can increase their profitability and make the more business make sense. And lastly, the training to create a new force, which I already told you that we'll try to give a new training. Like, I'll give you a very small example. The Polytype has a training school only for printing, but that is in Switzerland. So anybody who wants to expert in printing, they have a special training program. They give degrees, they give diplomas for only on a printing of tubes and cups. So this kind of small ventures, this is our future to start under this government of tube promotion. And definitely this has to be done in a team. I need help of everybody to achieve these targets. Next. Yeah. So this is a small objective which I have. So naturally, with the help of others, we will have a one-year conference. Then we will have, like in Europe, there's a best tube awards are there, where we can have the best tube award in India also. We can have panels, we can have, so that the tube manufacturer will be more promoted and provide to give the best tubes to the society. So that is all objective I have. So, but this all objectives can be achieved with the help of my colleagues, tube manufacturers, tube consultants, and you people who are eminent in the packaging industry. I always need your blessings and help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bhatia. As Dr. Saha said, one more council, but the Tube Promotion Council actually fulfills an area of packaging format which has gone unrepresented. Labels have been represented as a council, PET bottles have been, but tubes have hitherto not been. And thank you for outlining what all is possible if we all get together and represent this packaging format. So with this, we move on to a very interesting part. I want to invite Mr. Sunil Agarwal. Mr. Sunil Agarwal represents a company who are using tubes in a very large way. They are actually, if you see the range of their products, you can see a variety of very beautiful tubes, and you feel that tube is the USP of that company more than anything else. This is the RSH Global Private Limited. The brand is Joy Cosmetics. Mr. Sunil Agarwal is the co-founder and chairman of RSH Global. His understanding of evolving needs of consumers guide him in leading product development marketing divisions of RSH Global. His core belief and values form the pillars of the organization. His analytical mindset, along with the perfectionism, inspires stakeholders to focus on continuous improvement in all activities. Indrajit, can you just show some of the tubes, some of the products of RSH Global while we look at this? Just put that on. And his presence of mind to optimize resources has helped the organization to go through the journey from a humble beginning to an established one at present. So we'll have a little conversation with Mr. Sunil Agarwal, talking about his experience of use of tubes as a consumer product packaging format. Mr. Agarwal?
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you, Deepak ji, for your good words, and good afternoon to everyone. The expert personalities in the tube industry are here in the panel. I am very glad to be invited here. And yes, we are basically into mass market and tubes. Historically, what I have observed, as it when we told that the history of the tube making also started with a commodity like toothpaste, and it continued with toothpaste for many years. So some bit of fortune and misfortune I'll put here, as because the evolution of the tubes, or the the invention of tubes happened with something which is a commodity. So the journey has been so far majorly into the commodity field. So you will find tube products mostly are used in commodities like toothpaste or lip balms or products like that. But we, being a skincare company, majorly where my core products are creams, lotions, shampoos, even hair masks and shower gels and such type of stuffs. Unfortunately, the industry has, I will be not very negative about the industry, but where I feel is the challenge for the industry and how it has to be, taken care of by the personalities here, is what I would like to put in my words, so that it becomes more of an evolution for the industry. In the sense that, of course, a lot of print innovations and decoration have started in tubes of late, which you will find in some of my tubes also. But it is still at a very nascent stage. So I think we need to jointly work more towards how we can pull tubes into more number of categories of personal care and skincare products. Mostly what is happening is very few highly evolved brands in the personal care landscape are actually patronizing tubes. Honestly speaking, most of the people are constant to jars, tubs and all that. So how we can make this happen? I think this journey has recently been started, and I'm finding that a lot of innovations in decoration of the tubes in various screens and multiple flexo printing and all these stuffs have started. But I think we need to really work more on this so that, there are more takers for tubes, not from the consumer angle, in fact, more from the manufacturer's angle or the brand owner's angle as well. That is one challenge I feel this industry is facing. Otherwise, as Deepak ji introduced tubes, what are tubes basically? The most effective, the fastest route to the market, most versatile way of packaging anything which you and some jaggery is being now packaged. I am also from Kolkata. I know that yes, jaggery, that was a really innovative thing which has happened. We were thinking how Nolen wood could be stored, and now it can be stored for more than around 6 months. So what I feel that if we constantly push this agenda of not only trying to drive volumes with tube business in the tube industry, in fact, we should, as a whole, as a unit, we should try to push tubes into various other categories of skincare, personal care products as well. And once we are able to make that breakthrough, then sky's the limit. Now, tubes can grow to any levels, any billions. It is 9.6 now. It can grow to any size. So, because I saw when I entered this industry, some of the manufacturers were selling shampoos also in tubes, but very few, maybe 1 or 2 brands. Some hair masks earlier used to sell. I have seen hair conditioners and masks earlier coming mostly in tubes. Now I'm seeing a gradual shift into jars and tubs, more attractive jars and tubs with a mono carton and all those. So there's reverse trend also coming in place. So somewhere the industry has to, the people who are propagating about the tube thing has to take this call as to how we can grow on more categories. Instead of going big, we should go wider as well into the various categories. Like this is a WITS example, which we did with jaggery. So similarly, even in my field, which I am expert in, so in skincare and personal care or other FMCG products, if we are able to identify categories where we can further push tubes, which is like if you ask fairness cream as a phenomena, started with Fair and Lovely with tubes. So no amount of fairness cream nowhere now will sell in anything other than tubes. This is how it starts. So where from it originated, usually it stuck to that. It remains stuck with that. So toothpaste started with tubes, remains stuck with tubes. Shaving cream started with tubes, remains stuck with it. All the stuff, even the fairness cream with Fair and Lovely started, say 30-35 years back with tubes, now stuck with that. Now, although there is a shift, now there are whitening and brightening creams which are in tubs and jars, but then those are not the ones who are having the volumes. Volumes are still with the tubes. So as the custodian of, evolving the tube packaging industry, I believe the panel has to look into growing into different categories, moving into different categories, unexplored categories where there is a huge market. And now, thanks to a lot of these innovations, these print innovations and decorative innovations which have come into the tube landscape, I think there is enough room for it. This is what I want to put in here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Agarwal. I think that's a good message to have, and that really fits in with what the next speaker, Mr. Banerjee, is going to be telling us about. And I invite Mr. Banerjee, Mr. Mrinal Banerjee, former director of SL Propack. He's popularly known as MK, and he has worked with SL Propack, Director Special Projects. He was heading the Creativity and Innovation Department. He and his team are responsible for substrate formulation, process and product innovation, new product introduction and patent registration. His area of expertise includes product and process innovation, sustainable package design, regulatory compliance, and product stewardship. The current area of research includes effective and custom-built barrier for longer product shelf life, touch and feel dispensation, product authentication, and post-consumer and post-industrial recycling. He and his team have filed 150 patents globally for SL and already received 54 patent grants. So that's great. And Mrinal, M.K. Banerjee, please tell us how we can widen the market, as Mr. Agarwal just said, that let's move out of the traditional areas and get into examples like Nolan Gore or anything else that you would like to point out to us. Mr.
Yes.
Banerjee.
Yes. Thank you, Deepak ji, for nice introduction. Yeah, I have met Agarwal ji, many years back with the Calcutta. I still remember. And congratulations, you have grown, and multiplied so much.
Thank you.
And good to see that, TV ad, Anushka Sharma and all these things come.
Yeah.
It was very nice, I remember. Yeah. So can I have my presentation, please? I'll go a little bit because I don't want to tell like what my earlier speaker, they have already spoken. And this is mainly for food. And yeah, next slide, please. Now, when we talk about food, this is one of the segment SL we have been doing for many years, I think over 15 years. And we got initially few success. And as Mr. Agarwal says, people, I mean, the consumer and the companies also, they have gone back and they started again packing in bottles or jars. But at the same time, when we grown and multiply in different geographies, we found that that in China and Europe, they try to consume more tube packaging because this was easy to squeeze out, and because of positive dispensing, the product pilferage is spoilage is less, and also the taste and aroma what they need from this condiment and sauce and paste, that was better in tube packaging. And interestingly, the tube packaging itself compared to the product filled inside, it is only fraction of a percentage. Like a 5 to 7 gram tube can hold up to 250 grams or 300 milliliter of the product. So this is not possible with any other packaging media. Of course, pouch I am not talking about. This has to be convenience to the consumer and all this. So we start with the basic requirement for multi-squeeze tube targeting for food application. So any tube we produce cannot be used for food packaging. First of all, polymer and the tube made out of the polymer, that has to comply with local and global food safety regulations. These are very important. And we know only FDA approved, if we say, that is not enough. Along with the FDA, you need a lot of local legislation, like we know the CONIC and Proposition 65 and all these, those regulation require. Anything leaching and all these, those things also has to be taken care of. And food, because it goes inside, in fact, cosmetics, some of the skin cream and the oral care also, which are FDA approved product, they also need like a food safety regulation to be followed there. Now, master batch additives, those are little percentage, maximum 3 to 5%, but that can create a very negative effect on the total tube as such, tube packaging before filling. And any test we do with HPLCs or GCMS and all these, those additives and contamination can be seen very prominently, and those are not acceptable and all this there. Then machine and production center also very important. That machine parts and everything has to be stainless steel. It should not have any rusty or any oxide formation. So those are very important. So any machine cannot produce tube web, or in such in that matter cannot be produced tube. So machine has to be suitable for food and pharmaceutical product. Production environment, that has to be CG, current good manufacturing practices compliance. So basically it is a clean room for the wave making, because the waves are made at very high temperature. That polymer temperature, it is around 300 to 350 degrees C melt temperature. As such, those are sterile, But the environment, when the tube wave is coiled or subsequently it is slitted or printed, that has to be fully class 100,000 compliant. Next slide, please. Yeah, salient feature for multi-squeeze tube. This is the new specification what we drafted and is about to come out. Why we say multi-squeeze? Because it can be squeezed many times, like if it is a 250 gram or 300 gram, so it can last for over a month or more, depending on how much we squeeze it. Tube as a whole must comply local and international, if exported, the food safety regulation and standard. Sealant layer always in our tube kept always virgin polymer. So any pigmentation or any color we want to add or even tinge in a transparent tube, it has to be on the outside of the barrier, but not from barrier to inside, which comes in product contact. This is very important. Depending on the product shelf life, food tube must exhibit excellent barrier of oxygen as well as moisture vapor. Now, when we talk about excellent, the gradation is like, log graph. It is like, 0.1, then 1, 10, 100 that way. So generally for food tube, even for oral care, if it is aluminum, it's automatically come depending on what is the thickness of the foil and pinhole counts. It comes 0.2, 0.3. If it is oxygen cc per, yeah, it's like 0.2, 0.3 per square meter. And if it is a moisture, that also around 0.2, 0.3. We need minimum grams per square meter in 24 hours. So these are very important. Sometime if it is a clear tube and if you want to pack any curry paste or chili, ginger, garlic paste, we have seen without any UV barrier or UV block, the product get rancidity. It turn from a white to little yellow and dark yellow over time. And that happen with the diffuse light also, not necessarily it has to be a direct sunlight. So that's why some tubes, what we have designed, I'll come in the next slides. We have produced with the UV cut. And so that UV range, what we block from 175 nanometer up to 400, 425 nanometer. So you get UVC, UVB, and UVA, which is around 325 to 425 nanometer. So that makes the product rancid. So this is clear, yet it is a UV cut on that. So those are very important. Now this is some of the brand, very few of these brand we have done that. Subsequent slide, I'll discuss how we have done that. Next slide, please. Yeah, this condensed milk for, as you know, it is from Nestle only. We have done many years, almost 15 or 18 years back. And in India itself, however, going forward, I think Nestle had issue with ITX, which came from the printing inks, because all tubes are printed generally on the surface and with the UV curing ink. And ITXL, all this came from the photopolymer. These are a photopolymer, doesn't have any solvent and all this. So now we are getting ITX free and Nolen phenol free inks, UV inks. But those time it was not available. Not that our tube, but Nestle had one consumer complaint and there was a case and all this. So they stopped making Milkmaid tube here in India. However, there are many milk products in China and also we produce in Latin America, Colombia. Those are in big numbers. The same condensed milk, but not the Nestle Milkmaid there. Now you can see the next right-hand side tube. Tesco, they have chocolate, milk and chocolate combined. These are the sauce on the ice cream or on the spread and all this. So these are well established and this sells all over the world from SL local tube produce unit. Next slide. Yeah, this we have done for Unilever Kisan Jam. It was there, but now it has gone out of market. Kisan Jam we did, and also the honey and all these things. This we did. This also I think almost 12, 15 years back. But this you don't see much nowadays. But again, in abroad, in China and in our European plant in Germany and all these are very popular. Next. Yeah, so this is this we have done almost 7-8 years back. All the research part we have done in India, but then we cut paste and given formula to our China plant, because this tube goes to Australia, Gourmet Garden. They are one of the very famous company. They produce in Australia, and then with the cold chain they sell all over the world. You will get in European superstore and all these things. This was the ginger paste and coriander, hot chili paste. These are still very popular, and now a lot of Indian brand has come, and they are also doing similar thing. Next. Yeah, this is the Basavi. So this product not so popular in India. I mean, whatever tube you see in the restaurant, Japanese or Chinese restaurant, this comes, they import that. But from our China plant, we export to Japan. It's a big number. Like Government Garden, I say it was around 40 million tube we produce and sell yearly. And this is also almost like around 5 to 7 million tubes annually. This is a small tube, around 80 grams. And you can see very high clarity, yet it has a UV ABC block. These are, we have patent for this actually globally. Next. Yeah, so this, cheese spread, I personally worked on the cheese spread with Dynamic Dairies, which is marketed by Britannia. There's almost like again 7-8 years back, and they came out again. They stopped producing or marketing, but then a few years back, Go Cheese, they were very interested, and they came with a range of products. But still I don't see this product much, but this is one of the best product. I know my children, they love cheese, any kind of cheese or cheese spread. So I used to buy, and every time I used to give a demand that we need Go Cheese, the cheese spread and all this. It's very easy to put between slice and you can eat it. And with a different flavor, it was very nice. But honestly, we don't see much nowadays in that. And one more thing I must tell about this cheese spread. These are hot filled, like anything between 70 degree to 85 degree maximum. And these tubes are, we tried with both PBL tube, plastic barrier laminated tube, opaque though, not transparent, and also with the aluminum foil. Now what happened when you do hot fill and then it goes through tunnel with the chilled air blast, aluminum tube, we found that it formed like a dimple type, because when it cooled down, it has like dimples. Whereas in PBL tube, the shape and everything, the surface smoothness, it remains as it is. So this is one of the things. So if you talk about hot fill product, this tube has to be suitable for that. Otherwise, all the interlayer bond and everything, it will go like delaminated and all this. It will be D-shaped. Next. Yeah, these are mayonnaise. This is not much in India, but in Europe plant, these are the big numbers. This is around 10, 12 million. And you can see one of the brands are Unilever brand. So these sells very well. And also in the same European, we have done some, the tuna paste. This is one of the very good there, there when the people go for trekking and, the mountain, they buy all this tube and the loaf and all this, and between bread or like a hot dog, they put that and they eat that. So these are very high value, utility value product. and the tube packing is better. You don't have tin and all these things. So you, after squeezing end of the use, you can keep it in a small bag which can be disposed of systematically. Europe, they are already advanced as compared to us. Slide. Yeah, this is the, Dr. Professor Shah was saying liquid jaggery. So this was again, it was a like collaboration. We are in one of the seminar in West Bengal government, and their secretary and of course Didi, they were insisting that we develop this because value addition is very high, and the spoilage when the Nolen gur or the liquid jaggery is collected from the dead tree in the winter season, uh, so they don't get any value, and it gets spoilage also, because within 4 or 5 hours, I mean, we are knowing when you are small, is to take, it has to be in the, very early morning before sunrise, we have to consume that dead liquid, which is a like, sugar cane juice kind of thing. But as soon as sun goes 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, so it tastes little, pungent or something like that. So it was a lot of wastage, but then government, they did a excellent work, with the cooperative and their association. So they collect it, and they, with a flat pan, they slow heat it, evaporate it, and when the big formation happen, and then they pack hot conditions. So anything between 60-70 degree, and it remains. Actually, it remains for 2 years, not 6 months. We have done that. In fact, me and Professor Shah and Ashok ji, we are talking, and he was having this tube. He was a Dada try karenge aaj. So we are a little bit, because we know it is almost like 1.5 years. So we removed the tamper evidence seal, and with the spoon we tried, and it was equally tasty and all this. Professor will remember this. But they made a very, very big brand out of this. It I think 80 or 100 gram cost 80 rupees, and they made pack of 6 with the paper box. So these are very value addition product. But tube structure was already developed long back, as you have seen that with the cheese spread or other food tube. So structure is same, and then we customize this for special purpose. There. Next slide. Okay, so this was the basic slide. And as Prabhinji was saying that, yesterday you have seen that the paper in the Economic Times. So they are talking about huge opportunity in India. In 2009, they are talking about packaging of around 62 billion US dollar, which can potentially go up to 143 billion US dollar. And they are talking about CAGR around 18%. I think 18% may be a little bit more optimistic, but I know anything between 12 to 14% is being done there. In tube packaging itself, it can be done. 18 may be the overall percentage. So big opportunity is there, but tube packaging is looks simple, but the people have to have a lot of knowledge, and it has to be a team, and coordination effort has to be there. Anybody buy a machine, expensive machine, it's not going to be easy to produce tube. So a lot of knowledge is required, a lot of discipline is required, but then it is possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Banerjee, there is a question from the audience here in the chat. Mr. Arvind Narang wants to know, what are the Indian products which are being packaged in, what are prominent Indian product categories being packaged in tubes currently?
Okay, so one, you have already seen that Go cheese that is there. So it comes and goes, not very steady and big number. So that is still there. They buy a small number. But then lot of the condiment like chili, garlic paste, that is there in the supermarket. Sole, and you can see that in our Hiranandani Pawai also I can see that the tubes are there. Mainly chili, garlic paste on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Null and good also.
Nolan Good is already there. Any time of the year you can see in the Calcutta airport.
There are some wellness products also, wellness product categories, health foods, those types of products are also being tried out.
So I may not know on the everything what is there, but many things are there, and this is the emerging market. Honestly, unlike cosmetics and
Yes.
pharmaceuticals, those
Yes.
we have seen that it grows and multiply in million and almost now touching billion numbers. Whereas in food, I must say, still it is in lakhs, 100,000, unfortunately. So one thing maybe the price point and all this, and secondly, uh, some brand may not require very longer shelf life. So normal HDP jar is enough. Say Chyawanprash, if you say, Chyawanprash is the ideal formulation to go into tube. But when you talk about, traditionally it has to be scooped through spoon or by the, with the help of spoon. So it's not there. But I'll tell you a very interesting story because these are very relevant. One of my US DuPont friend, very senior person, and so when he came to India, he liked Chyawanprash something, and then he said, Banerjee, I'll buy 2 kgs of Chyawanprash, Dabur, and please, pack this in a 50 dia squeezy tube. And from my lab, R&D lab, I have done that. And what he does, he and his family, and he has presented to friend also. So in the morning, between bread, he put that and eat that. Can you believe that?
I see,
So,
like a bread spread, like
bread
a cheese
spread.
spread.
So any product we talk about, which is a paste or gel or cream, tube will be the first preferred packaging because you don't need any tools. It can be simply squeeze and then eat.
Is it my impression that there is a perception that the tube is too delicate for handling in a hard market like India with a lot of distances and difficult logistics? So tube is a little more delicate to handle and therefore not so preferred for food products. Is that the correct perception?
No, that's totally wrong. For any brand which comes first on the tube pack from a traditional packaging, they do transport study. Even there is a wave thickness change. They send from Kashmir to Kanyakumari or Gujarat or Bombay to Calcutta through different road, and this is a part of packaging qualification process. Not there. One thing I can tell you, some people may say that tube can catch more dust. It can attract. So that because of the polymer combination what people use and the kind of design or the ink what they use, that catches dust. So those are already factor taken care of. But in terms of tube, even it fall from hand, nothing will happen. Cap will not break. The tube, it will not open up because nowadays the polymers what we are using and the industry using, these are all metallocene polymers. So it has, even with the thinner gauge, it has a tremendous burst strength and heat seal strength. So that is totally, it is a myth, not real.
There is another question for you here. Speaking of branding tubes, which technology would be future between direct printing, labels, or others? That is, should tubes be direct printed, or is it better, are they labeled? Which technology will go further?
Yes.
This question is from Mr. Shinde.
Yes. So I always feel that direct printing is better. And now that digital printing has evolved, and we have digital printing, a lot of our India and overseas location, we have worked with them on, this is a 4-color system, 4+1 special color and overall varnish. And any design you can do. And when you are printing, you can have like 2 or 3 track in 3 different. So when smaller SKU comes, like you need, say, 500 tubes, or say 100,000, 1 lakh tube, in a traditional press printing, surface printing, that may be impossible because the runs and all these things are very short run and require. But with digital, those problems are taken care of. you can print,
Yes.
2-3 tracks with
Or
two
trunks.
different designs and all this. Labels will be there. Like if you need, say now label is a pre-printed. It looks very simple that you can have a wrap around and you can have a lot of design. But those things has taken care of by the digital printing, on-demand printing. When you are producing, say, any particular brand, big brand, we can have one track for the smaller also. There. Label will be there
Sir,
for small quantity, not very regular, often. So they'll have a printed label stock and they will wrap around as and when required.
So there's one last question for you. Can we fill hand wash in Lamitude? For Rahul.
Oh, sure, sure. In fact, during this COVID time, first thing came, alcohol, which is around, say, 65-70% alcohol. Earlier, we never thought that is possible. So now you can have 70 plus, percent tube, and professor knows that this we have designed overnight and it works.
Is that one of your patents?
Not that.
Structure is patent, I believe.
Structure is patent, not the product.
Sir, Banerjee Sahab has a knowledge. The session can go up to 2 hours.
Yes.
Yeah,
Kind of knowledge he has.
That's why I confined to few slides only.
Yeah, because
recycling other thing we can have next time.
Because he has a tremendous knowledge. So we should have a special session for Mr. Banerjee. So because we have to cover other panelists also.
Right.
So Deepak ji, you can little bit this thing because the time is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Banerjee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You spoke about food packaging in tubes, and we have another area of packaging in tubes, which is pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
And no better person to talk about that than Mr. Rahul Bhargav, who has been head of department at Ranbaxy Sun Pharma.
Yes.
He was leading and directing packaging development team of development of novel, cost-effective, regulatory, compliant, and scalable processes, meeting desired quality standards in order to achieve short and long-term business plans of the organization. He, along with his team, hold quite a few patents for new packaging concepts. So he has recently quit Sun Pharma and ventured into his own consultancy. He will talk to us about the use of tubes in a GMP. Rahul?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Deepak, for nice introduction and having me in this forum. Praveen, can you put on the presentation? So I've prepared few slides, looking at my exposure to, in pharmaceutical and FMCG and food sector. So Deepak thought that I'm good in quality systems and all. So that's the topic he has selected from me, that, I'll talk about some good manufacturing practices that are required for primary packaging materials. And as everyone understands, primary packaging materials, they are the ones which are in direct contact with the product and gives the required shelf life. So like pharmaceutical may require 2, 3 or 4, 5 years shelf life. Food may require maybe 6 to 9, 12 months. And other products are there which may require, the protection or barrier from oxygen and moisture and other things. So that's the primary packaging and its importance. So that's what I'm going to speak up, and a few slides I have which will talk about what are the expectations of brand owners from the primary packaging materials. And since today we have the Tube Council forum here, so they can pick up the things that these are the few basic expectations that the brand owners will expect them to follow when they manufacture and start, supply to food and pharma or even cosmetic industry. Next slide, please. So this is just a content what I'm supposed to speak today. Introduction of tube, one slide, advantages, many of you know, certifications and regulations that are required, some quality systems, and key areas requiring attention. So that's what I'm going to speak. Next one. Next slide, please. So tube packaging, it's a very basic one. It's for generations. The tubes are one of the most widely used for semi-solid products, paste and other things. But I would say that why not try for liquid? You know, liquid, one of the things which I dreamt about during my working times, that, you know, you have for acne and other things, you know, the spot applicators. So different types of applicators which can be fixed onto the tubes. Like we have a spot applicator where the liquid can be applied. If you have a pimple or acne, you can just apply at only particular point. So if you have a good applicator which will, you know, control the flow of liquid from the tube and it won't drip. You know, even if you invert it, unless you press, it won't come out. So even if it is, you know, for hands-free application and carefree application, you know, you can just take a tube and apply on your face where infected area, or it could be applicator for roll-on type. I mean, I haven't seen maybe in last few years where we can have a tube where roll-on thing can be there, and if you want to apply on you know, the portion needing the medication, that can be done. So these 2-3 things were there in my mind. I thought when the experts from industry are there, I should say that work for these new areas. While we have been talking about semi-solids and paste and other things for tube packaging, there are other areas which can be explored, of course, with business in mind, and bring in innovation to this country. And next one, please. Next slide. So advantages, everyone knows. I thought this was just from my mind. I wanted to put it across. Nothing, I mean, nothing very special. We know about the barrier properties. We know oxygen and gas and light, you know, protection is required, the flexibility, and, you know, how it, the feel good factor that it should give, or the spring back effect that is there for plastic tube and all. So these are things which I thought I'll just put it across. I should not be speaking much on this. Next slide, please. These are the certifications which any food and pharma organization would like to have. They should have the you know, EC guideline 90/128, basically for plastics which are in direct contact with the product, or because even if we talk about lacquer coating and all, they are all polymer based. So there also the EC guidelines are there, and some guidelines are also there for the heavy metal contents which should be below particular you know, parts per million. So that's another thing. US FDA, they talk about the CFR 21 CFR. So we have to see that our tubes are you know, compliant to these regulations to sell in those markets. And of course, people talk about having a drug master file. So the facility along with the documentation and other things, they should be having the drug master file, which can help you supply to the pharmaceutical industry, which are looking to export to US and other regulated markets. Next slide, please. So quality systems, you know, 8-10 years or 12 years back, people were talking about ISO 9000, 9001. But of late, last, I would say last couple of years, you know, there is 15378, which combines GMP plus quality management systems. I mean, here it talks about safety, efficacy, reliability aspect also, besides only GMP. And the focus is how to reduce errors, because many times your layout and other things are such that the possibility of mix up and other are there. So with focus on that, if you're doing multiple SKUs from your site, you should have the facility in such a way that there are no mix-ups, and other safety aspects, other things are also considered along with the GMP. So this ISO 15378, this is the one which now many brand owners, they would like to see their suppliers comply to. Next slide. So the key areas which require focus from all primary packaging material, or I would say even secondary and tertiary also, the storage area, the incoming materials, how you receive them, how you label them, because many times the materials are in quarantine for different purpose. Either one is the incoming material under test, or they are approved, some are rejected. So you label them accordingly, have a designated area for them, and people expect the cleanliness, the controlled temperature, humidity. Those are which are where the primary packaging materials are stored, and the markings and labeling. Those are certain things which are expected for the packaging material suppliers to comply with. So this one area which needs lot of attention. Next slide, please. The operational practices, the process flow, how the products manufacturing moves, the job card, the record of activities. People talk about traceability, from what raw material you have produced your goods and supplied. So there should be a traceability that this lot of plastic, this lot of paper board, or aluminium, or any other raw material that you have used, there has to be a traceability of that. The records of employees, the facility layout, how it is controlled, the lighting and ventilation, the flooring, all those things matter a lot. How the materials are taken in your manufacturing setup, what kind of batch and lot identification or definition you have within your factory, that should be followed. And then how you clear the line. Suppose from A product to B product you're shifting, so what kind of line clearance are done before moving to B product. So how each and every activity, the cleaning and other things that needs to be done, those have to be followed. The retention samples, what you have produced and what you have released to the market or released to your client, you have to hold certain samples with you, so that in case any issue comes up during testing, or later on also, you have the control samples with you where you can test it and demonstrate that I have tested it, and this is the COA, and these are the samples that I retain for a particular period. It could be, it could be your own SOP where you can decide that you will retain these samples for some time, maybe 2 years time, or 3 years, or you have to decide on that, and what kind of process controls that you're going to have. The challenge studies people talk about, like uh, the sealing temperatures, or the way you laminate your product, the way you do the lacquer coating and other things, that you challenge that if it is less, or if it is done at higher temperature or low temperature, at this speed, at different speeds and different sealing temperatures, and all, how the product, the product that you have manufactured behaves. So if you have some kind of challenge studies, the plus and minus tolerance limits, then you can be rest assured that within this range, your product is perfect. I mean, perfect in the sense that it meets all quality levels, not only at your end, then it will also run perfectly at brand owners' places. So those are the things which operational practices that you need to follow while producing your primary packaging material. Next slide, please. These are again important things: the washing, sanitization, headgear, and other things, gloves, and which need to be followed, and the way you do the gowning, how you degown, when to wash your hands, and all those things. These are all things which are very critical and have to be documented. Many times, even the cleaning of your toilets and other things, there are records when was last cleaned and how it was done. So similarly, everything is SOP driven, and you need to have those kind of SOPs in your place, because if you have the documents, you follow and practice those things and ensure that they help in the quality levels of your product. Next slide, please. This is regarding machine equipments that you have at your end, then the installation, its qualification, how you're doing the validation. Those are very critical and they have to be documented. And as I said, the challenge studies and other things, these all are also there, which are very much applicable for the equipment. So you have to see that it's not just you get the machine and start producing. You have to document each and everything, because these are very critical. I mean, I'm talking more from a pharmaceutical point of view, but these kind of things are also required by other industries, whether it is food or cosmetics. I mean, they are no less as far as quality and other things are concerned. And rest of the things with respect to equipment, whether rust free or the way it is designed, the maintenance record, when you're going to perform the maintenance, and when it is due, you have to see that these are done on time, and so that your machine is able to produce materials to the requirements and to the quality levels that is required. Next slide. I've been talking about documentation and all. This is another area which is very, very critical. The how you maintain your files, whether it's the standard operating procedures, all the operations that you follow within your premises, they have to be documented. You need to have SOPs for each and every operation. I mean, of course, you internally have to decide what all SOPs you need to have, but whatever SOPs you have, then follow it. I mean, don't make it so harsh that, on paper it looks excellent, but when you move to, implement it, then you find that your employees are so, they find it very tough to follow, and they don't, they are non-compliant. So please create SOPs which you can conform to. I mean, don't make it so tough and where you get lost and keep on making errors. Then the tracking system, as I spoke earlier, the traceability is very clear. How you handle the deviations, because sometimes you may have to deviate from your set procedure for multiple reasons, unknown reason, I would say, because many of the things are known, but 1 or 2% things can come which are unknown. So you may have to deviate some certain things, but you have to document. Then how you handle the customer complaints, what kind of CAPA. CAPA is what you say, corrective action and preventive action. So what kind of corrective steps you take, what kind of investigation you do, and then, have the corrective steps and preventive also, so that everyone is looking. If you have made a mistake, I mean, it's not a crime to make error or complaint has come, but you have to diagnose it, where the complaint has come, and how you can prevent it for in future, that the same, because many of the complaints can be critical. It can impact the product quality and can lead to product recalls and other things at customer end, and it may result in blacklisting and other things. Many things follow after that, because packaging is one of the easiest way to to be a target. So we have to be very careful when we have these kind of complaints, and do some real investigation and ensure that those kind of complaints don't come up. And then there can be change controls also, that you need to make some changes in your system and all. Then you have to document why you're making a change in that, and prove it that your change is for the better or something. So those kind of documents are also required when you approve the change control. I mean, it's not that one day you come that I'm changing this. You have to follow the systems, why you are changing, what was wrong with the previous one, and how it is a better one, and have the data to show that this is how it is better, and then switch over. And all these things have to be documented. So the importance of documentation, I'm trying to explain over here through this particular slide, is tremendous. Like even the supplier controls, whatever you may be having, you may be the supplier of finished goods, finished in the sense finished good tube, but you may have your vendors and suppliers of your input materials. So you have to see that they follow similar kind of practices. How you qualify your vendors, that's also very critical. That what kind of systems you have within your organization to approve a vendor. It's not that you keep on changing from A to B to C or D vendor. I mean, nobody stops you from changing, but there has to be a system that it should not impact the end product. So you have to decide what is a minor change, or which will require some kind of studies at your end, or you have to inform the end user or the brand owners that these are the changes which I am doing. I'm changing from A to B vendor, or I'm changing the grade of my input material from A to B. So you have to demonstrate that it is not impacting the quality of your product. Quality of your product, if I'm referring to product is the tube right now we are talking about. So we have to keep on, demonstrating that it is not impacting the quality, or it's within the parameters listed down either by Indian government, or, we have the BIS or the global standards. It is meeting and passing those. So if you have those kind of tests and certifications, you have to share it with the brand owners or the end users to show them that there is no impact on the quality, and you can always bring about changes for that. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is again, we talk about the inspection, the audits and all, which should take place, whether it's internal or external inspections. You should have a timetable that you will do a periodic inspection of your operations or your documentation, anything. I mean, you should have a auditor, internal auditor, which will keep, looking at your systems and telling that where we are going wrong or where we are going good also. So everything is there, so for improvement. And many times you have the pre-operation inspections also, like when you're starting a shift or the production, what kind of inspections need to be done online. Those are in place so that the quality of product is maintained as per the specifications and test methods that you have. Vendor audit, as I said, is critical, whether it's you who is being audited by the brand owner or by your clients, or you audit your input material manufacturers. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the last slide. I mean, observations which usually the customers or your clients may give you. Level 1, which we call it a critical one, which is non-compliance to your internal systems. I mean, you have laid down your systems, as I was saying, you have your SOPs, but you don't follow it. And that is impacting or giving a negative impact on your product. That's the most critical one. So that's why I said in the initial stages itself that have your SOPs, which are, which can be easy to follow, but don't compromise on the quality aspect. Level 2 is also there, which is a major one, which, you have auditors who keep giving you some observations and all, but you agree to it, but you don't implement it. So these are all major things, and level 3 are the minor ones, which isolated non-conformance, what we call that. You missed out something which is not impacting the product, but since you have listed down as your activity in your SOP, you have not followed. So that falls in a minor category. So this is the last slide I have, which talks about what kind of observations your clients can give you. So this is what I have from quality aspect. As I said, I'm a hardcore development person, and from my understanding of quality and the systems that should be there at primary packaging material manufacturers, I've listed down certain things. If, within the team or a group, you may have a quality expert who may have several other things also, but I've tried to cover limited ones which are critical for the operations. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. I think it's important for listeners to also understand that many of these practices that you have described have been there before COVID times. That is the hand washing, the sanitizing, the quarantine. A lot of these practices in pharma, cosmetic, and food industry have been there even before the COVID times.
Yeah, that's true.
So thank you very much for giving us an overview of what it takes to produce for the pharma industry. From here, I'd like to now move on to actually one of the important parts or components of tube manufacturing is the tube laminate film. So for this, we have Mr. V. Balaji. He's the president of Rajshri Polymers Private Limited. He has worked in the manufacture of tube laminate films in a leading manufacturer in India. Hands-on on technical specifications of all kinds of flat tube laminate, aluminium foil and non-aluminium foil based. He has developed what is called the Inspire 118 resin, and also produced barrier PE in-house, nylon EVOH, nylon PE, EVOH PV films, which are used for non-foil tube laminates in various thicknesses from 275 to 400 micron. He's got a total work experience of 41 years, of which 21 years is in oriented and cast PP films and 20 years in printed lamination and converting industry. So I invite Mr. Balaji to tell us a little bit about how specialized polymer films, tube laminate films are being made. Mr. Balaji.
Yeah. Good evening. Before he starts, I will also thank Mr. Ram Sarup, who is also sitting with him, with giving him a guidance, and he's a chairman of the company. So I think we will get a better knowledge of the new kind of laminate which they are thinking to develop. Let's start.
Congratulations, Mr. Praveen, on the foundation of Tube Promotion Council. Great efforts.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, shall I start?
Yeah, start.
Yeah. We'd like to thank the Tube Promotion Council and Distinguished Auditorium to present our thoughts on the forum. RPPL is a newcomer in the tube laminate. In fact, we have not produced even a single square meter of a tube laminate so far. But we are very confident that we are going to offer or inspire the audience with the thoughts on the subject. For quite some time, we had some vision of producing something very useful for the industry. Today, our subject of talk is a web laminate for the tube industry. We are going to talk something novel method of manufacturing tube laminate of a different kind. Simplicity of manufacturing, the process, which will be very cost effective, which we feel. We have the combination of polymer substrates for cost effective and functional properties. We can tailor make as required by the industry. We are very lucky that new barrier line was almost like design. We incorporated some very specialty things in that one. So we thought that why don't we convert that line in one of the best tube producing laminates? That's our intention there. So introduction of RPPL, next slide. Next slide, please. The SME listed company in India, the turnover of 1,400 billion and USD 18.5 million for the year 2019. 19% stake owned by the Wifag-Polytype, Switzerland. 20 years long experience in sheet forming, etc., all kinds of thermoforming, with the lead suppliers to Unilever, Ferrero, Nestle, PepsiCo, Tata Global, Hershey's. Next slide, please. These are the well-known industry we serve today. Nestle's, Unilever, Ferrero. Next slide, please. Next. This is the existing facility at Daman. Next. 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 We have full-fledged sheet making, all types of sheet making, whether it's PP, HIPS, polyester, and very, very good thermoforming machines. We are one of the lead suppliers to Ferrero, the Kinder Joy. Next. Yeah. I want to cover a very small, before we begin what we want to do this one. There are three types of tube laminates. One is alfoil tube laminates. Foil thickness ranging from 7 to 30 microns. Total thickness of the laminate ranging from 175 to 400 microns. The process involved in two stages, blowing of PE of 2 or 3 different kinds that is required to form tube laminates, and extrusion lamination. Type 2, no foil, but EUH barrier resin is used to foil. EUH thickness varies to match the oxygen barrier. The thickness ranges from 250 to 600 microns. Here again, the process involved 2 stages. First is blowing of PP, whether it's plain or a barrier, and then extrusion laminate. This is a conventional method of producing. Type 3, which is a very old one, direct EUHP blown in tubular form. A single process, thickness ranging from 2 to 650 microns. Direct tube diameter, hence productivity could be low. Next. This is our perception. Type 3, that is the EUH direct tubes. Due to slow production process, slow conversion, the manufacturing cost is higher. Hence, type 3 can slowly move to type 2, especially volume business. Type 1, there is a genuine drive from the industry to move away from foil to non-foil. One of the reasons also recyclability. One cannot absolutely match foil barrier. Hence, the industry shall have to trade a balance between the barrier properties and the recyclability part. So there is always a shift, type 1 to type 2, that is non-foil to UH type, etc. It's always there. We are coming out something new. In the COVID squeeze market, we want to offer something which could sweeten the ears of the people. We call this new or novel method of producing EUH barrier laminate intended by RPL. Almost similar to functional properties of type 2, that is non-foil with EUH barrier. In many applications shall provide competitive edge advantage both foil and non-foil barrier. Our process is very simple manufacturing. Next. We are going to introduce, or we want to, the purpose of we thank the audience, our purpose to introduce what we want to do. We are bringing one of the best line, 9-layer European line, which can produce tube laminate a single stage process only. It uses the sleeve technology that can provide clarity, stiffness at lower thicknesses, absolute uniformity of gauge across the wide widths. The thickness range can range from 150 microns to 800 microns, and all in single stage of production. EUH thickness from 0 to 80 microns. Width is 70 mm to 1100 mm. Due to 9-layer construction, multiple choice of polymer is available. We can work with the industry and understand what they require. We'll be able to tailor-make the barrier requirements and provide the web width. Our also intention to do something new, that is the innovative PP and other polymers sandwich suggested in combination PE to run in existing tube forming machines without any issues. Some of the typical structures we would like to promote, that is PE, UH, PE, and other one is PP sandwich. We'll cover little depth as we go further. Next slide, please. Next. Yeah. This plant manufacturing capability or the unit is at Daman. It is going to be commissioned somewhere in the month of January. We intend to build a world-class clean room facility. We take a lot of good inputs from Mr. Rahul Bhargava. It refreshes our mind. We will ensure that this line is designed for hygiene and clean room environment. It will be highly automated and with minimum human intervention, and we plan to build an R&D facility. Next. Next, please. Next. This is a 9-layer SML line which is going to come. It has been tailored or specifically designed to produce what we intend to produce as one of the SKUs. Next. Next. For any quality production, the original equipment is very important thing. So as SML, and chlorine dye is one of the well-known, reputed in world. It is being incorporated here. This is the first time. Next slide, please. This is very important thing. This is maybe one of the few kinds in India. This is called the sleeve technology, which is not available as of today now. This gives extreme configuration, specifications, absolute gauge control. There are many salient features associated with sleeve technology, we understood. So we incorporated all those things while we designed the line. Next. For everything, there is a selling. We find 4 distinct advantages of novel method of manufacture of TL. Process. We want to supply FG from resin in single stage. So we call as resin to FG. Simplicity of process and therefore could be cost effective and speed up our time of delivery. Very quick changeovers between the various specifications possible at the click of the button. Today, if you want to produce a laminate, conventional laminate, Today, if you want to produce a conventional laminate, you have to produce a polyfilm. It could be barrier, it could be non-barrier. That is the first stage of production. There has to be a curing time. Then you need to go to extrusion lamination machine. You have to laminate, there is a curing time. So all those avoided in our single stage process. In our process, we'll put the resin and we intend to produce the FG, that is the flat sheet up to 1100 mm. This is the intention. So since we avoid multiple extrusions, extrusion laminations, we feel that we could save a lot on raw material, productive time, and could be cost effective. This is the intention. The second most important, the elimination of various process defects. Due to one process, the defects that generally occur on account of cascading reduce considerably. For example, blown film is there. There are a lot of issues associated with blown films are there. Then blown films are taken to extrusion. Again, another process, Then another process, there are problems are there also completely there here. And extrusion lamination, if one does not do properly, there's a delamination. There are many things are there here, each one blaming other side. We felt that in a single process, that is recip to FG, since we avoid two processes, the process of elimination problems are simplified there here. So it could be very, very attractive. And single sheet process improves the web flatness and offer wide film for printing. Functional properties, UH resin layer, we can vary according to the barrier requirements. We can go up to 5 to 80 microns, depend upon the need. UH layer can be provided in 1 or 2 or 3 layers to provide add-on barrier. 9 layer gives the flexibility to produce multiple polymers from HD, MDP, MLDP, nylon, many things are there. In blown films, sometimes people have the limitation of using high flow grades. In direct extrusion process, you can overcome, because it's a very simple process. We can have better aesthetics, surface finish as compared to current types. We can provide PP on top, provided there's an interest. The machine has to be modified. But our first intention is to supply a laminate which will work on the existing machines as it is, without doing anything. Resilient properties of foil to match. We said that no one can match foil, but we felt that by introducing PP as one of the layers, sandwich, we can bring some of the properties of foil. PP is one of the best polymers to MBTR, next only to foil and metallized films. And we can do a lot of things are there here. The outer layers are designed to run on existing tube laminate lines without change of any part. Next, please. Yeah. So these some of the structures are there here. While we mentioned called plastic tube laminate structure, we have mentioned simple as PE. The PE can be MDP, HDP. We can fine tune as we want there. There are plenty of flexibilities available there. In the other side, we showed as PP. This is a new concept for us. The extruders have been designed to run through PP. We feel this will give very competitive to the industry in terms of barrier properties, resilience. We also intend to produce one more thing. It is on the cards are there here. We want to produce a laminate without EVH in the 9 layer, which will be having very similar functional properties. Yes, we cannot match foil, understood. Definitely we cannot match UH, also understood. But with our third one, will come very near to UH, and that will have the 100% recyclability. So that's what we are contemplating. We are doing some experiments. We have planned to do experiments are there. We are hopeful that in the month of March or sometime we'll give this good news to the industry. Next. We have compared that conventional and what we are going to produce, how it will look like. The values are very approximate we are given. It's based upon our experience completely there here. Whatever we plan to produce will be comparable to the non-foil as of today, but our PP will score over definitely. We feel so. It's a perception, it's a thinking, it's a vision. We hope that it will come true. And barrier definitely will be able to sit and talk to the people, what they want, how they want, what kind of a thing you want, and we'll have the flexibility of altering here and there to match what is the requirements. We are very confident of informing this one. Next. As compared to the conventional, that is a blown film and extrusion lamination, direct cast line could be little low on stiffness, we feel so. But we are very confident of overcoming the same with a small add-on thickness and the modification of polymers. Alternatively, the PP combining with HDLD may compensate, could be superior. We feel that incorporation of PP polymer in the sandwich layer for improved METR, for improved stiffness than PE-based films, for more clarity because it's being produced in the cast film than the blown process, resilience or bounce back could be improved. And we will have far less gel count in size and numbers. One of the very important things in the industry. Next. Because of the cast process, we can create differential effects like embossed, if there is an interest, soft touch, matte and glossy, twin color is possible, and 150 to 800 micron in single stage is possible. Next, please. The line is also designed to use PCR in one of the extruders if there is interest. Also, we have designed the line to add fillers to reduce the plastic consumption and impart special functional properties. Next. We are looking for opportunities for the new development for machine supplies for tube lamination, print process for tube printing, direct or indirect end uses. Would like to partner to promote this novel idea, innovation of polymers, that is combination of PPPE in all-in process with added quality, simplicity and source reduction, simplicity and carbon foot reduction. The new barrier line is expected to stream by 1st of February 2021. Line is available for trials to try out any innovative suggestions from all of you. The capacity of the line is 400 metric tons per month, or equivalent to 1.75 million square meters. In per day, we can produce 15 metric tons per day or 70,000 square meters. This is the beginning. We are confident that we'll be able to do good things in the tube laminate segment, and we are not afraid of expansion. Next. We solicit all of your support to demonstrate the line design capability, to provide with improved quality, to reduce sourcing costs, innovative multiple tube laminates. Would like to partner, seeking your advice and suggestions. Looking forward to work with all of you. This is Balaji. Mr. Ram is here.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very nice presentation. Yeah. Deepak ji, unmute karo. So, very, very, very nice presentation, and I'm really sorry the time has little bit deferred because of very, very nice and informative presentation. Yeah, Deepak ji.
Yes, it's been a long session. I'm thankful to all the participants who have stayed on, because I think we have saved the best for the last. So we now have Signor Paolo Colombo, who is joining us all the way from Milan, and Mr. David Perego. So they represent a company called Tapematic. Tapematic was established in 1970, and Tapematic builds and designs in-house industrial machinery. And they also, for the tube industry, they have some special decorative processes for the caps. So I'll leave Senor Colombo to talk about it.
Thank you for your presentation.
Colombo, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I would like to add, before Mr. Colombo adds, this is a new kind of machine which is there and nobody has installed in India. And
not yet.
Is absolutely innovative product in India, for India, and especially for the cosmetic market, and which is everybody is saying it's growing by 15%, 18%, and it's a big opportunities for everyone. Let's start, Mr. Colombo.
Thank you for the presentation, and of course, first of all, it's a very pleasure for me to be here to present Tapematic. That is practically an Italian company with branch in US, UK, Hong Kong. It has been established in 1970, where we started to produce a machine to produce audio cassette, video cassette. And in 80s, we was the first company in the world doing that job. Practically, we sold something like 14,000 machines around the world. In India, we sold something nearby 100 loader per cassette. In 1995, we started making lines for CDs, DVDs. So we developed practically our metallizer for CDs, UV coating, the sputtering, and quality inspection and decoration station. The first in the world digital inkjet printing for CDs, DVDs, and Blu-ray has been produced by Thematic. All this market is finished, unfortunately. It was a very fortunate market, but now is something that is gone. Today, we are revolutionizing the world of packaging with an efficient UV varnish and metallization equipment dedicated to the world of packaging for cosmetic, spirits, as well as for pharmaceutical. The unique and revolutionary PST line or system has become the company main core today. And with the PST Lite 1 that has been presented into the market in 2010, an additional model was introduced into the market in the second half of 2018, that is the PST2. The scope of the project, it was practically to develop a line that can do in process to eliminate the, as I would say, the intermediate manual step. So practically on our line, one man can run the line. Use a new technology to be more eco-friendly and cost-effective, so reducing a lot the cost. Is a modular system that can allow to the highest level of customization. So it's like a Lego. You can combine all the pieces and come to what you want to produce. So it is depending also by the layout of the company. Allow our customer to be more flexible and provide reduced time to the market. Supply the opportunity to bring the sputtering coating technology in-house. But what is very important, to have a better control of the entire process and reduce the possibility of contamination. Practically, all our line is protected on top with HEPA filter that are keeping the inside the line very clean. And as I understood, talking about the quality and so on, is very important today. Can I have the YouTube showing the line that I don't have here? The film?
Indrajit, you have the YouTube video?
Yes. Can you feed up? Yeah. Or you can add? Okay. So practically this is the line, the PST1, that practically is combined by a loading and unloading system. It can be manual or it can be automatic. The second step is cleaning and pre-treatment, like brushing, like we can see. Flame treatment to adjust the surface tension of the line. Primer coating, here we are handling the pieces that are never touched into the primer varnish. We use only UV varnish, and today is also, the market is offering also 100% solventless. So is zero contamination of the atmosphere and zero contamination onto the plastic part. The base coating practically is including the IR and the UV coating system. This one is the metallizer. For the metallization is a full automatic one. We use what is named low lock system, so we never lose the vacuum into the vacuum chamber. The pieces are coming out already metallized, and they move on a carousel over a conveyor. Then we go on a top coating where we are applying. We are applying the top coating varnish. Pardon? The line, as you can see, is very I am mute? Ah, no.
No, it's okay.
So practically the line is very compact. The length is about 14 meters compared to 800 square meters that is used for the classic line. Tube packaging. Thematic is not directly related to the production of tube like Polytype perhaps, but the decoration of caps for tubes remain open into the section, and we are now dealing in that. In addition to neutral caps or just the color of the plastic, the market is requiring metallized and or decorated caps. Our PST line are suitable for this, including the IDM decoration, inline decoration model. What it is something to produce something like that. As you can see, is like a logo. That is a module that can be added into the line. The inline decoration model produces a complex decoration embodied on a PST line with a zero consumable cost. Give certain advantages over competitor, being able to apply logos, text, graphic, or decoration directly onto the part. As I said, a zero cost because practically we use a laser to remove the material. The technology works by carving into the top layer the reveal of the layer before. The effect is depending by the color of the plastic material. We have customer in Europe, in North America, and in Canada that has bought, has purchased our PST line just for coating and metallizing caps for tubes in order to guarantee the quality of products, control the cost, supply at the real time, compared to subcontractor suppliers. Talking about the Indian market, up to now, we don't have yet installed in India the PST line. The reason, I don't know, maybe there are some hesitation in investing in new technologies. I don't know, you are more expert than me, you are living there. The market is still open for us, we are ready to do. I was saying new technology to get a better quality, reduce the consumption, reduce the price, reduce the manpower, going to zero pollution. That is very important today, also considering the quality of the product, not only the external side. We sold well in China, and I think that in China, they have the same or the same problem like India has, like low cost of production and blah, blah. But we really well sold to Korea, and Korea is very interested in a top quality of the market. This is important. Squeezed market, we started from there. I'm very glad to know that the tube market is growing by the 15% in quantities. So we will have better opportunities to sell machines for caps. For sure, the global beauty companies has reworked, restarted their consideration onto the sales in 2020. I don't know what about 2021. Probably everything is depending by the coronavirus. It is an yesterday information that the GDP in US is dropped down by 32%. That is something that is happening after 1947. So it's the first time. And we have also information that companies like Estée Lauder, they want to fire something like 2,000 employees and to close shops into duty-free zone like airports by 15-20%. So this year we still have a good business. In September we have to deliver another line. Another is forecasted for the end of the year. Now we want to see what will happen in the next year. That's all from my side at the moment, and thank you.
Thank you, Signor Colombo. I think
Thank you.
Thank you. It was an overview of what is possible in cap decoration. And I think with this, we come to the end of our program for today.
Yeah.
And I want to thank all the participants who have been with us through the session. It's been a long session, but without you, this session would not have been possible. I want to thank the panelists who have been with us and who have shared knowledge. And of course, Mr. Sanjay Bhatia, Dr. Saha, and Mr. Praveen Bhatia for making the inaugural remarks. And PhD Chamber for supporting this entire event. And best wishes to the tube packaging. Anything you want to end as Mr. Bhatia?
One thing, Deepak, I wanted to add.
Yes. Yes. Hello.
No, for my side.
Who is? Yeah, Mr. Bhatia. Have we lost him? Indrajit, unmute.
Hello. Yes, sir. There is a signal problem.
Okay. Okay. So then, is he sitting there next to you? Can you call him here? No.
Yeah. Wait. Now.
Yeah.
We just. Yeah. Now it's coming. My voice is coming.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Just Mr. Saha can, because we already make a website, so we can formally say that the website is there. So, and tomorrow it will be live.
Dr. Saha, he wants you to make an announcement about the website being live. Can you unmute Dr. Saha, please? Please. Can you unmute him?
Hello. So Dr. Shah is not in our panel, sir.
Oh, he's Dr. Saha, you could unmute yourself, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now.
So, thank you, Mr. Bhatia. I understand that the Tube Promotion Council website is ready.
Yeah.
And it's already been uploaded. And I am very happy to announce here that that website is being launched now. And tomorrow it will be active. So all of you can visit the website of Tube Promotion Council. Thank you, Mr. Bhatia.
Thank you, Dr. Saha. Thank you, everyone, for being with us.
Thank you to everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. This is the website So are you sharing the same screen of the website? What is the website ID? www. Yes. www.tubecouncil.org. tubecouncil.org. Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night to everybody. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.